Hi guys, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. My name is Vance. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to make this very beautiful layered gown. It's been trendy and today I felt like sharing it with you. It's almost the same thing with this one, just that it's a different tweak. They just added something different to it. The first one is fuller, this is a longer length, this is a shorter length. So I'll be showing you the easiest way to achieve any of these gowns without overthinking, and these are the fabrics that I'll be using for this. I'll first of all start with my pattern. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead now and mark my starting line. After that, guys, I'll go ahead and take my vertical measurement. My vertical measurement here is my chest line. After that, my waistline, and then the full length of the gown. So I'll be exhausting the full length of this pattern paper, and the full length of this pattern paper is 35.5, which I'll be using because of my size. If you're taller, just take your measurement. If you're taller, you can use 37, 38. Just take your measurement though. So when I'm done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and make my point into a straight line down to the full length of the paper or the pattern. So after I'm done with this, guys, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. And then on the chest line, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat my shoulder measurement. I'll mark it there and I'll use my ruler to connect from my 1 inch shoulder slope to my chest line. So I'll go ahead now and divide my armhole line into 2, and then I'll come in by ½ inch. On the chest line now, I'll divide my bust my bust by 4 and I'll mark it there. Then I'll go ahead now and connect this point to get my armhole line. So when I'm done with this, I'll just go ahead and label chest line, waistline, and then the full length. So when I'm done with these, guys, I'll just go ahead and take my neck width and my neck depth. It's not important, but anyways, let's just do it. So I'll just go ahead and mark it. When I'm done, I'll connect my shoulder slope to my neck width, and then I'll go ahead and connect my neck width to my neck depth. So when I'm done with these, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to take the waist measurement. The waist measurement is not important for this kind of gown, but anyways, I just took it. Then on my full length, I divided my hip by 4, and then I added extra 5 inches. You can go as much as you want. It all depends on how wide or how line you want your gown to be. So when I was done marking that, I went ahead now to connect from my full length to my chest line to get that A-line shape. So this was me when I was connecting. I told you that I don't actually need the waist measurement, so we are skipping that waist, and then I connected it to the chest line. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to achieve that off shoulder effect, like that halter neck effect. So from the shoulder, I came down by 6 inches, and then I'll use my ruler to connect it into a straight line. Then from my chest line, I'm going to come up by 1 inch. This is because I do not want my armpit to be exposed. That's why I came down by 1 inch, and I'll go ahead and reconnect. And from that 1 inch, I'm going to connect to the 6 inches that I made, just the way you see me doing. So I realized that at this point, that halter neck effect is not really showing. The style is not really coming out. So from the shoulder, I came down by 4.5 inches, and I went ahead to mark it. So from there, guys, from my new armhole line, I connected it to the 4 inches, and right now I am feeling that the style is coming out. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to just go ahead now and cross this part. I will not be using this part. This is the part that I'm going to be using. Are you seeing? So when I'm done with this, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out our pattern. So this was when I was cutting out the pattern, as you can see. So this is it. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to bring a fresh paper to draft the back. So I'll place the front, that's the front pattern, on this new pattern paper. I'll go ahead now and remove the zip allowance. For the zip allowance, I'll be making use of 1 inch for the zip allowance. Then I'll make sure that the armhole line matches with the paper. Are you seeing? It matches. Then I'll go ahead and just cut the same thing. Instead of trying to draft the back again, I'll just cut the same thing. The only difference is that the back is going to be deeper while the front is going to be higher. So I just went ahead right now to pin the papers together so that it won't move. So when I'm done pinning, I'll just go ahead and indicate my zip allowance, because I need you all to see that yes, is a zip allowance. So I just went ahead right now to write out the zip allowance so that me too, I'm not going to be confused while I am cutting on fabric. So when I'm done, guys, I will just go ahead and cut out my patterns just the way you see me doing. So after cutting out the pattern, I'll just go ahead and lift the upper part. Are you seeing? And then I will just slant, because the reason why I slanted is because I don't want the back to be straight. So I just had to slant it so that it won't be straight. I like that slanted effect for the back. So when I'm done with this, I'll remove my pins and then I'll separate. I'll label front and then back. So after I'm done with this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to calculate how many layers I'll be using. So I'm going to be using 4 layers. Remember, in the thumbnail it has multiple layers, so I'll be using 4 layers. So from this point, I'm going to check what I have there and then I will divide it by 4. So I got 7.8. So I will just go ahead right now and mark the 7.8. So if you want multiple layers, you check what you have for your whole length and then divide it as many layers as you want. So I'll just go ahead now and use my ruler to just make it into a straight line, and then I will indicate 1, 2, 3, 4 because it's 4 layers that I want. So when I'm done with this, I'll set it aside and first cut my lining. So this is a satin fabric that I'll be using for the inner. So I'll place my front there. Are you seeing? Remember, we didn't add allowance while on the pattern, so we are going to be adding the allowance on the fabric. So when I'm done pinning, I'll just go ahead now and add 1/2 inch at the upper part, and then for the joining I used 1 inch for the joining. So this was me when I was done cutting the front. I'll set it aside and fold for the back. So this is the back, guys. I'll also go ahead and pin it down. So after pinning down, I'll also rule out or mark out my 1/2 inch, side 1 inch, the upper part 1/2 inch. So when I'm done cutting, I will go ahead and open up the zip allowance, and then I will now remove the pattern, and this is my back, and this is also the front. I'll remove the pins and then I'll show you how it's going to be joined. So I notched the zip part. So I opened up the front now, one side of the back and the other side of the front, right side facing each other. So I went ahead to set it aside. So for the front now, I'll go ahead and open up these, like separate them, and then I used an arrow to indicate so that I will know that this is the upper part. So when I'm done with this, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to set 2, 3, 4 aside and then focus on 1. So for the 1, I'll just go ahead now and make a straight line, because for this flay we are going to be using the slash and spread method. We're not going to be using flay method because we don't have enough fabric, and this slash and spread method is a lifesaver. Like, it will save you a lot of fabric that you waste if you're doing flay. You know, flay consumes a lot of fabric. So after I was done with this, I'll bring in my fabric. This is a chiffon fabric that I'm using for this tutorial, and this is 3 yards of chiffon fabric. So I'll go ahead and fold it into 4. Are you seeing? I folded it into 4, not into 2. Please do well to fold yours into 4 so that you can have a longer piece. So when I was done, I'll just place my number 1 on it, just the way you see me doing, and then I'm going to use my my pins to pin the piece down. So you know that the length of this paper is 7.8. I'm going to be adding extra 3 inches. Why am I adding 3 inches? I'm adding extra 3 inches because I want the length to be longer. In case maybe I go out and then breeze or something, so that my rough edge will not show when breeze lifts up my fabric or something. So you need to add extra length to your piece, and I used 3 inches for the extra length. So when I was done with that, I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So for the side, I'll be leaving 1 inch because of the 1 inch that I left for the sewing of the inner. So that 1 inch will also allow me to sew this piece together. So just watch what I'm doing. I'm done with the first one. The next thing I'm going to do now is to cut the second one, which I'm currently doing. So after I'm done slashing it, I'm going to spread it on my fabric. Are you seeing? I'm going to spread it. So I realized that the fabric was not enough, so I had to refold my fabric, and then I went ahead to place it again, and I pinned the piece down, like the pattern paper down to the fabric. So when I was done with this, next thing I'm going to do is to also add my 3 inches allowance to the length. So instead of trying to fold and fold again, so I just decided that I will do the same thing for all of this piece so that I will just rest. So this was me when I was adding the 3 inches allowance, and I decided to do the same thing for number 3. As you can see, I went ahead to also pin down. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. This tutorial is actually very easy. It's just for you to pay attention to it, and that will be it. So I went ahead to cut out my number 2 just the way you see me doing, and then I'll go ahead and set it aside. And I also went ahead to cut my number 4. So I realized that my fabric, it was already or almost getting exhausted. So what I did, instead of folding into 4, I folded into 2 first. Are you seeing? For my number 4. So I went ahead to slash my number 4, and then I went ahead to place it on the fabric that I folded into 2. So when I placed it there, I used my pin to pin it down to the fabric. Then after pinning, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to add my allowance. So instead of using 3 inches for the number 4, the number 4 is the last one, so I just used 2 inches. Now in your own case, since the length of the inner is your actual length, I think you should just use 1 inch, because I realized that my gown now became longer. So please use 1 inch. That 1 inch will serve as the hemming allowance or the weaving allowance if you're going to weave it. So when I was done cutting this, I placed it again on the fabric. Remember, I'm supposed to fold this fabric into 4, but because the material is not enough, that is why I folded into 2. So now to get that 4, the 2 layer, I had to place it again so it can be like the other ones. I hope you get what I'm saying. So this is it. All my layers are ready. So I'll go ahead now and bring in the lining. I've gone ahead to sew the sides, and I've also gone ahead to iron. So next thing I'm going to do now is to fold this into 2, and then I'll start marking the length that I used initially, which is 7.8 inches. So after I was done, I just used my ruler to just make the point, like connect it into a straight line. So this is what I did. So I was just rechecking if it was complete or if it was correct, and it was okay. I went ahead also so that the other side can have the same thing. I just went ahead to replicate the same thing for the other side of the lining, just the way you see me doing. Are you seeing? So I'm just connecting the points into a straight line. So this line is the guide where I'll be placing those flays that I cut initially. So for the first flay now, I'm going to go ahead and remove my pin. I'll sew both sides by 1/2 inch, and then for the back, remember this is the upper part, I'll just trim it out and leave that halter neck area, that upper part. So that's it, guys. So this was when I was done sewing it down. As you can see, we now have that lower back and then the upper front. Are you seeing? So I'll just go ahead now and fold this into two, and then I'll open up the back. Remember that it has zip, so I have to open up the back. So I went ahead right now to open up the back, just the way you see me doing. So we now have a long strip. So I'll bring in the lining now, and then I'm going to place our fabric on the lining. So for the fabric placement, the right side of the fabric is going to face the wrong side of the lining, just the way you see me doing. Are you seeing? So that when I turn it, the right side of the fabric will now show. So before I do this, I'm going to insert one. There is one loop. That's what I'm holding right now. I'm going to insert it because that's where the rope is going to pass through. Then I will now place my fabric on it. I'll pin it. As you can see, I'll pin the sides. The joining of the sides will meet the joining of the other side too. Pin all the sides together, just the way you see me doing. So after I am done pinning, the next thing I will do is to take it to my sewing machine. I will sew it, and I will show you how it looks like when I'm done sewing it, guys. So this was when I was done sewing, guys. Are you seeing how clean? Are you seeing where our rope is going to pass through? Our dress is already coming out. Are you seeing how pretty it looks already? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to focus on the second layer. Are you seeing, guys? So this is the second layer. I'll remove our pattern, and then I'll open it up. So this is when I was removing the pattern paper. I'll open up the flay. Are you seeing? And then I will sew it down by 1/2 inch. I'll sew this other part too by 1/2 inch. I'll show you how it looks. This was when I was done sewing. Are you seeing? And I've also gone ahead to iron. So I'll join these two together like this so that I can open up the back. That's for the zip. I hope you get. So I'll open up the back. Just trying to arrange it so that I will not have to make mistake. Then I'll open up the back. This is where the zip is going to sit. So this is it, guys. So I'll bring in my lining. That's our lining, yes. And then I'm going to open it up and show you how I'm going to place it. Now for the lining, I'm going to flip it over. I just went ahead to check if it corresponds, and yes, it does. So I'll just go ahead now and flip over my fabric. I see this is how I'm going to sew it. I'm not going to sew it like this because I don't want my rough edges to show at all. In case breeze blow, I don't want my dress to lift up. So I'm just going to place it like this. The sides meeting the sides. Are you seeing? Then I'll go ahead and sew it down and top stitch. So this was when I was done sewing down the second layer, and I also went ahead to stop stitch. So let's do the third layer. So this is the third layer, guys. I'll just go ahead now and remove it, sew the sides by 1/2 inch, and then I'll bring it back and show you how it looks. So this was when I was done sewing and ironing. Are you seeing? So I'm going to go ahead now and match these two together so that I can open up the back. So I'm just arranging it so that one side will not be shorter than one side or longer than one side. So I'll just go ahead now and open up my zip, just one of it. Then are you seeing our flay now is longer? I'll bring in my lining again, and then I will flip over. So if you're doing multiple layers, this is how you're going to go about it. There is no magic to this thing. There is no magic. Even if you saw something very difficult, this is the method that you go about it. The only thing is that maybe the style changed at one end or the other end, but this is the easiest way to go about a layered flay. So I'll just go ahead and just match the two sides together. I will sew it down, and then I will top stitch. So this was when I was done sewing and top stitching. Are you seeing? Our third layer, our dress is already coming out so beautifully, as you can see. So this is it, guys. Then I'll go ahead now and do the last layer. This is the last layer. Remember, I cut it separately because of the fabric that was not really enough to fold into 4. So this is it, guys. I will open up this, I will open up this other one, and then I will sew down the both sides by 1/2 inch. That I'm closing it up by 1/2 inch, and then I'll show you. So this was when I was done closing, and I've also ironed. I'll join them together to cut out my zip. Are you seeing? So this was when I was cutting it out. That's opening up my zipper part to get a longer flame, and then I'll bring in my lining, and then I'll go ahead and place my last layer. Are you seeing? So I'll place my last layer, guys, the way I placed other ones, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine. I'll sew it down, and I'll show you how it looks like. So I'll go ahead and weave up. I'll weave the fabric and the lining, and then I'll show you the result when I was done. So I was still pinning down, just making sure that every part aligns. Then I'll go ahead and sew it down, and I'll show you how it looks. Our dress is actually coming out so well. So this is it when I was done. Mind you, you can use any fabric of your choice. Let me place this. You can use any fabric of your choice. You can use organza, organdie, anything you want, Ankara, anything. You can use it. So this is the time for me to add my zip. I told you I went ahead to weave. So I see. I'll go ahead now and add my zip, and I'll show you the full. So this is when I was placing the rope. I'll add the rope, and then I'll show you the full dress.